8:30 in the afternoon near 79th and May, sending her vehicle careening straight into a parked van. You just cannot wrap your head around this level of violence. She was a stunning soul raising a gorgeous baby, and her future was snatched away for absolutely nothing. While her boyfriend took multiple hits in the chaos, her 13-month-old daughter in the back seat somehow walked away without a mark. Honestly, it is nothing short of divine intervention. St. Sabina Church sits just a stone's throw from the ambush site with its community food pantry right there on the intersection. Folks inside had to duck into a rear office for cover, only coming out once the shooting stopped to aid the wounded. They witnessed the devastating scene of the couple riddled with bullets as bystanders scrambled to rescue the infant from the wreckage. Rescuers handed the child straight to law enforcement, and a female officer cradled the little one in her cruiser. We seriously need to fix the streets in this town. Someone has to put a stop to this gang warfare because the constant bloodshed and murder is just beyond comprehension. Gabrielle's mom shared that her daughter was a professional hairstylist who is also studying to become a postal worker. Law enforcement has yet to release any theory on why this attack happened. A trio of masked assailants pumped over 50 rounds into a white car during the lunch hour, ignoring the baby strapped in back, and investigators even found spent shells inside the carrier itself. That poor baby was clutching a lollipop and wailing in terror when Good Samaritans pulled her out of the debris. Her mom, 26-year-old Gabryel Ayers, had already passed away right there in the front passenger seat. Shocking security video captured the whole hit, revealing 3 attackers blasting the car with rifles before hopping into a red Alfa Romeo to spray more lead as they fled. How on earth does a simple afternoon cruise in Auburn Gresham spiral into a calculated hit job with an infant watching the whole thing? This is the tragic story of Gabryel. If you haven't joined the Crime Shadows family yet, smash that subscribe button immediately because we are digging into stories the mainstream ignores, and this one is fresh from 3 days ago. The Chicago Sun-Times reports that Gabryel, known to her crew as Gabby, was an aspiring stylist working hard to grow her brand on the South Side. At just 26, her life revolved entirely around her precious 1-year-old little girl. Kirk Bell, her godfather, emphasized to ABC7 that Gabby cherished that child above all else and was definitely not mixed up in the streets. She was a dedicated mom striving for a brighter future, the kind of person locals remember as kind-hearted and affectionate. On February 4th, 2026, at 1:25 in the afternoon, she was riding shotgun in a white sedan while her boyfriend, 27-year-old Devin Draper, drove. Official records state that her infant daughter was buckled in safe and sound in the rear of the vehicle. They were cruising the 7900 block of South May Street in Auburn Gresham, right near St. Sabina. It was a standard Wednesday afternoon, routine and normal, until 3 men in masks changed everything. Who were these gunmen and what was their endgame? That is the mystery ripping this neighborhood at the seams. Cook County Crime Stoppers confirmed that security cams caught 3 disguised subjects walking up to the car. This was no coincidence. They were on a mission. Clips making the rounds online reveal the crew jumping out of a red SUV that had been tailing Draper, proving this was a calculated ambush from the start. Rumors floating around suggest a chilling clue that could explain how the hit squad pinpointed their exact location. Word is Devin Draper might have dropped a pin or tagged his spot online moments before the attack. If that holds up, that digital trail turned them into sitting ducks, transforming a drive into a hunt. But what was the reason? What kind of grudge justifies executing a couple with a toddler watching? Cops are stumped on the motive, and as of February 7th, the suspects are still in the wind. However, the use of heavy weaponry, disguises, and the sheer intensity of the assault screams that this was deeply personal. Here is the breakdown. Per Chicago PD files and bystander testimony, it all went down right around 1:25 p.m. On February 4th, Gabryel and Devin Draper were either idling or rolling to a halt near a sign on the 7900 block of South May. At that exact moment, the red SUV boxed them in. Footage broken down by True Crime Avenue shows 3 men in black exiting the ride and opening fire with what the pastor of St. Sabina Church called high-powered rifles. They sprayed that white sedan with bullets from multiple directions. Locals described a chaotic scene to law enforcement, reporting a burst of rapid-fire shots that sounded like automatic weapons ringing out right at lunchtime. CBS Chicago confirmed that investigators recovered more than 50 casings, marking a street completely littered with brass evidence markers. 50 bullets ripped into a vehicle carrying an infant. Sadly, Gabryel took several direct hits all over her body during the barrage. Reports from WGN indicate that Devin Draper caught 2 slugs, one striking his arm and the other hitting his backside. Officers stated the vehicle surged ahead, colliding with a parked GMC van, whose driver luckily walked away unhurt and didn't need a medic. However, the details only get more disturbing from this point on. CWB Chicago claims that once the first volley ended, the 3 gunmen sprinted toward their getaway ride, believed to be a red Alfa Romeo. Even as they hopped inside, they continued blasting the ruined sedan, proving this was far beyond a simple hit. It was pure excess. They were sending a loud warning, yet against all odds, the little girl made it out without a single scratch on her. One bystander filming the aftermath mentioned seeing the toddler wailing in the back, clutching a sucker even after the noise died down. WGN noted that police actually discovered spent brass landing right inside the child's safety seat during the investigation. It is baffling how a kid makes it with bullets landing in their lap. Meanwhile, paramedics showed up incredibly fast. Emergency crews sped Gabryel Ayers to Little Company of Mary Hospital while she clung to life, according to ABC7. Doctors tried everything, but the damage from so many wounds was too severe, and she didn't make it. Devin Draper ended up at Christ Medical Center over in Oak Lawn, where staff stabilized him pretty quickly. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that officers were the ones who rescued Devin's 1-year-old girl from the mangled car. Aerial video displayed the white car Swiss cheesed with holes and glass everywhere, signaling a targeted hit rather than a random shooting. What detectives uncovered on the ground adds an extra layer of ice to this already cold story. Evidence shows this bold assault occurred on a sunny afternoon only a street away from St. Sabina Church, sending neighbors diving for safety. Folks in the area actually saw the whole nightmare unfold right before their eyes. Father Michael Flager remarked that the infant living was divine intervention, yet she faces a future knowing her mom died inches away. You might wonder if the cops have the suspects, but they are still searching. Detectives in Area 2 confirmed that by February 7th, 2026, nobody was in cuffs, though they have leads. Security cams nearby recorded the ambush, and True Crime Avenue says authorities have the video, giving them a look at the masked gunman. Investigators identified the getaway car and collected ballistics from more than 50 fired rounds found on the pavement. With the red Alfa Romeo on tape, they just need a witness to speak up. Meanwhile, Cook County Crime Stoppers and St. Sabina Parish have each put up $10,000 to encourage tips from the public. CBS Chicago tallied that to $20,000 for actionable intel, yet there remains a significant hurdle to overcome. In Auburn Gresham, residents are traumatized by constant bloodshed and paralyzed by the fear of payback from the gang. On February 7th, Commander Andre Poston of the 6th District rallied locals and clergy at the site, begging for help. State Senator Willie Preston labeled the attackers gutless beasts, vowing that justice would eventually catch them no matter what. Mayor Brandon Johnson attended the memorial, speaking on how this pain rips the city apart, but speeches won't capture murderers. Information is key, especially since those 3 masked individuals remain on the loose right now. Hit that like button if you want justice served, and send this clip to all your true crime friends. Increasing the visibility of this case puts more heat on authorities to finally close it. With 0 arrests or court dates, a mourning neighborhood is left with a toddler who won't recall her mom's sacrifice. Hundreds of people met up at 79th and May on February 7th to pay their respects. The Chicago Sun-Times notes that Pamela Bosley, who helped start Purpose Over Pain for bereaved parents, spoke out. She took a stand on that street, reminding everyone that the victims are our own kids, warning that without change, sooner or later, every single person will find themselves attending a memorial just like this one. Adrienne Swanigan Williams, grieving her son Tamaine since 2017, recalled Gabby as a kind, hardworking stylist building a future. Gabby's godfather, Kirk Bell, repeatedly posed the one question haunting everyone in the crowd that day. Why open fire on a vehicle when you see a kid in there? That infant could easily have been killed. Given the amount of lead flying, the little one shouldn't have made it. Yet she survived against the odds. She is now motherless, left with a recovering dad who faces the impossible task of explaining why mom is gone forever. Law enforcement has stayed completely silent regarding whether he is cooperating with detectives or if he has any insight into why they were singled out. That remains the haunting mystery hanging over this entire case. Why go after Gabryel? Why that specific car? And why strike with a baby inside? Investigators are currently scrubbing through security camera tapes, speaking with potential eyewitnesses, and running tests on the ballistics evidence. Yet without any suspects in handcuffs, there is no sense of closure because the three gunmen who staged that ambush are still out on the streets. The motive is still a total mystery, leaving the Auburn Gresham neighborhood terrified and wondering when the next execution will take place in plain sight. This horrific event exposes a deep fracture in the way gun violence is consuming the city of Chicago. It proves that automatic weapons are now the default for settling scores, that life is cheap, and even a baby will not stop someone from firing 50 rounds. Father Flagler summarized it perfectly when he noted that guns have unfortunately become the first option for defense. Until we address that mindset directly, we are going to keep witnessing this carnage. Gabryel was just 26, building her future and raising a daughter. She was cherished by many, yet she was slaughtered in her vehicle while her poor child sat there and watched. No verdict can restore her life, but the three men responsible are still walking the streets, which is completely unacceptable. Crime Shadows will cover every update. Hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss the notification when these cowards are finally taken into custody. For more deep dives into cases that no one else is talking about, go check out our playlist. This is Crime Shadows, and we are only getting started. Evidence points to a squad of gunmen unloading a hail of bullets, likely emptying over 50 rounds into the vehicle. Miraculously, every single slug somehow bypassed the infant strapped into the very car they were shredding to pieces. Detectives worked late into the night, combing through a street paved in brass casings, trying to figure out how a child survived that Swiss cheese sedan without a scratch. Why open fire on a vehicle when you can see a kid inside? It defies all logic and decency, and honestly, we could have been mourning a lot more innocent lives right now. Kirk Bell, the godfather of 26-year-old Gabryel Ayers, confirmed she was the victim, slain inside her white Chevy sedan just after 1. Hundreds gathered at 79th and May 3 days after the shooting. Mothers who had lost their own children stood on that corner and said, without change, everyone will eventually stand at a memorial like this one. That baby girl will grow up without her mother. She will not remember the day, but the people around her will carry it for the rest of their life. Asterisk, asterisk. When gun violence happens in broad daylight in front of a church with a child in the car, it is not just a crime. It is a community emergency, asterisk, asterisk. If you were near 79th and May Street in Chicago's Auburn Gresham neighborhood on February 4th, 2026, contact Cook County Crime Stoppers. Your tip can be anonymous. If you recognize the red Alfa Romeo, the three masked men, or anyone connected to this ambush, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-535-7867. There is a $20,000 reward. Communities impacted by gun violence often face a painful barrier to speaking up, fear of retaliation. Anonymous tip lines exist specifically to protect people who want to do the right thing. If you live in a neighborhood where violence feels routine, know that organizations like Purpose Over Pain exist to support families who have lost someone and to help prevent the next loss. Father Flagler said it plainly. Guns have become the first response, not the last. Until that changes in mindset, in access, in culture, the funerals will continue. Gabryel was the kind of person who greeted everyone warmly. She built her brand. She studied for her future. She loved her daughter more than anything in the world. She was not a bystander caught in crossfire. She was targeted in a calculated daytime ambush for reasons that have not yet been answered. Her daughter survived something no child should ever witness. What she grows into depends on the village around her and on whether the people who know something choose to speak. No sentence brings Gabryel back. But justice means that the men who fired those 50 rounds are held accountable so another family does not stand on this same corner. Gabryel Ayers, 26 years old, a mother, she deserved to watch her daughter grow up. If you know something, say something. Gabryel Ayers was 26 years old. She was riding in the passenger seat on a Wednesday afternoon with her 1-year-old daughter buckled in the back. 3 masked men stepped out of a red SUV that had been following the car. They fired over 50 rounds into a vehicle carrying a baby. The car crashed into a parked van. Gabryel was gone before help arrived. Her daughter was still in her seat, clutching a lollipop, crying without a scratch. Spent shell casings were found inside the baby's car seat. 50 bullets. A 1-year-old in the middle of it. The neighborhood around St. Sabina Church dove for cover. Her boyfriend Devin was shot twice and survived. Gabryel did not. She was a hairstylist, studying for a postal career, building a life around her daughter. Her godfather said it clearly. She was not mixed up in anything. She was a dedicated mother, striving for a better future. The attackers were still at large as of February 7th, 2026. The motive has not been confirmed. 3 masked men with high-powered rifles remain unidentified. Security footage captured the ambush. The red Alfa Romeo getaway car was recorded on camera. Investigators have the evidence they need, the community's help to close the gap. Cook County Crime Stoppers and St. Sabina Parish each put up $10,000 in reward money. $20,000 total for tips that lead to an arrest